I like debug by print. I use debuggers occasionally, but I've never understood why so much engineering effort gets expended for the sorts of interactivity they provide. Interactivity which encourages complex sequences of breakpoints for any real world session. Enable breakpoint A, wait until it's hit, then disable it and enable B, and so on. At the end of all that setup, I constantly find I hit step once too often and now have to restart the sequence all over again. There is no undo. Debug by print sacrifices interactivity for the ability to lay out changes over time. You do have to take greater control over the debug experience, what you choose to print out and when, designing the copy of the log to be clear. So that's issue one. We'd like to be able to script debugging flows. A second issue with both approaches is that they don't encourage us to share our debugging workflows with our collaborators. Debugger settings are lost when you exit. Debug prints are usually deleted before making a PR. Casey Muratori's demo of the Mustache tool shows the value of saving information between sessions. Let's do more of that. A third issue both debuggers and prints share is an over-reliance on text. The graphical debugger DDD is better than most debuggers at showing pointer relationships, but it's still too hard to get it to make your data look the way you imagine it in your head. And the graphics can't be tailored to your domain. It can't render a list embedded in the array it contains metadata for example. So that's the three major issues I tried to address in this year's Jam. And I wanted to do it in a simple way that keeps the programmer in control so you can tailor it further to your needs. Let's see how. Debug prints naturally live in source code. What if we had an editor that could hide them by default and show them on demand? Then we wouldn't need to delete them from our PRs. Similarly, what if you could specify how the debug environment should render different objects in your program? The natural way to do that is also as first-class source code in your program. Putting these ideas together, we end up with a debugger that's not very much code at all, just the ability to selectively hide text and a set of hooks for appending pictures to a hierarchy of sections. There's a few different directions we could take this. First, support hiding debug prints in other tools. Git diff is an obvious first candidate. Second, though I tend to think debuggers overemphasize performance concerns that don't matter for the vast majority of situations, performance is still worth thinking about. But I wouldn't come up with tricks to speed up debug prints. Instead, I'm imagining some sort of declarative configuration language, maybe a printrc, ignore prints in these functions, drop prints under some level of call depth, expand everything in function A, and so on.